We're going to have to acknowledge something, my friends. We're going to have to ban Bitcoin to save the electrical grid. I'm just telling you right now. This is insanity. I did not realize how bad it was with Bitcoin mining. And given that we have a scarcity of electricity because the idiots in Washington, D.C., in Euro, Brussels, and whatnot, Bitcoin is got to go, man. All right, so let's just dive right into it. Texas grid takes emergency actions to avoid blackouts amid heat wave. All right, blah, blah, blah. We can talk about ERCOT. We can talk about natural gas. We can talk about coal. We can talk about wind, which we will here in just a second. But one thing that jumped out at me, with temperatures above 100 degrees, higher than average for this time of the year, the state had projected Wednesday's peak demand to hit 78,000 megawatts. That's 78 gigawatts. There's 1,000 megawatts in 1 gigawatt. All right, just keep that in the back of your mind. 78 gigawatts. All right. Let's see. As on it forced cuts when big power it avoided cuts. It avoided forced cuts when big power consumers agreed to halt operations. Who are these big power consumers? Well, the first jumps out is the president of Texas Blockchain said all the state's large-scale Bitcoin mining operations, which consume 1,000 megawatts. That's 1 gigawatt. All right. So we're going to look at this. At the peak, we had 78,000 megawatts right there. 78 gigawatts being used. Bitcoin or blockchain mining consumed one of those. That's 1.2, was it 1.2% of the entirety of the Texas electric grid went to 1.3% went to Bitcoin mining. All right, now let's look at this. Well, that's not that much. Yeah, it's a freaking lot, dude. It's a lot when there's gonna be rolling blackouts. But they volunteered. I don't care how much they're not volunteering. But first of all, you can tell this is, if you're investing in this, I don't know what you're doing, but whatever. So I want to show you something here. Facts and figures about the Texas electrical grid. All right. I want to go down here and we're going to see. I'm going to show you something right here. Wind power has grown very fast. The state has over 38,000 megawatts of wind generation capacity. Capacity. That is not actual generation, that's capacity. So they got 38 gigawatts, essentially, what that says, because there's 1,000 megawatts in a gigawatt of capacity, which you would think was almost half of the peak demand. We already talked about that. The peak demand was 78,000 megawatts. The wind has the capacity to generate 38,000 of that. Capacity and actual generation are completely at odds. So let me show you. And we actually go to this from the EIA, the Energy Information Administration, whatever the hell it's called. Hourly wind generation met by hourly electricity demand met by wind generation. All right. So these right here are going to be in gigawatts. Again, times that by 1,000. So we talked about 78. This is in 2020. So right here in May of 2020, so from April to May, they had a max demand of 60 gigawatts or 60,000 megawatts. How much of that was met by wind? Right there. About 15. 15 gigawatts was wind producing to meet the demand of 60 gigawatts. All right, now if you times the gigawatts by 24 to get gigawatt hours, how much you consume in a day, I'm going to show you because this is freaking crazy, man. I'm going to show you here. Oops, hold on a second. Right here. In 2019, we're just going to round up and say the state of Texas demanded 500,000 gigawatt hours, because a gigawatt, a kilowatt, a watt is just the electricity in this moment, in this second. You got to times that by 24 to get your gigawatt hours, your kilowatt hours, how much you're running on a regular basis, if that makes sense. A gigawatt, I mean, it's just literally right now. I just use a gigawatt. All right, but I extrapolate that over a day because we live for the day. We don't just live for the moment. Anyway, so what happens here is Texas demanded, or I say consumed, 500,000 gigawatt hours in 2019. Wind produced about 100 of those gigawatt hours. All right, so wind produced 20%. That's great, Josh. No, it's not. Because the capacity for wind, and this is where the EIA just freaking lies, is crazy. See how they're saying how much Texas demanded in gigawatt hours? You see that right there? And then the very next chart, they're saying the capacity in gigawatts. Gigawatts. So you're like, whoa, look at all this capacity. We're going to round up and say 30 gigawatts. 30 gigawatts capacity. That's not the actual consumption, though. We times a 30. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm not explaining this well. So we take the 30 gigawatts is the capacity, times that by 24. We got 720 gigawatt hours that wind can provide. 720 gigawatt hours. But notice, of Texas's energy consumption, electricity consumption, not energy, it's electricity, wind only provided 100, even though they have the capacity for 720. Why? Because the capacity doesn't mean crap. So right here, wind has grown, has a capacity for over 38,000 megawatts, or 38 gigawatts. Here we go, 38 gigawatts. But in 2019, it didn't even come close to that. We had 100 gigawatt hours of a 720 gigawatt hours. So capacity. So we take 100 divided by 720. That's 14% capacity, which is about right for wind. About 14%. Probably even a little bit higher than average. In fact, I think they even show that. I think they even show down here that that is higher than average. Hold on a second. I can't remember where I found it, but Texas is definitely efficient for its wind capacity to generation than more than probably Iowa and Nebraska and other states that do this fake electricity production. But 14% efficiency, that's pretty good for wind. That's pretty good for wind. But anyway, so what we're at, but it's still not anywhere near what we need. So right here, I want to show you right quick because this is funny. ERCOT, the primary electrical grid operator in Texas, said on an hourly basis, because that's all that matters. The moment in time doesn't matter. It's a stretch over 24-hour capacity. Wind output, not capacity, generation. Wind output in ERCOT ranged from as little as 0.2 gigawatts to as much as 21 gigawatts in 2020 on an hourly basis. Yeah, good luck running your air conditioning and your Bitcoin mining operation on 0.2 gigawatts, my friends. Based on data through the end of September, on June 29th, ERCOT reached an all-time high for hourly wind generation of 21 gigawatts on June 29, 2020. Yeah, and then it falls right there. And what are you going to do? Oh, we have batteries, Josh. No, you don't. No, stop it. It's freaking idiotic. Well, we use coal at that point. The point being is wind is only giving you 14% of its capacity. That's it. That's all you're going to ever get. Probably that's even most than you'll get, generally speaking. And yet, Bitcoin takes one mining operations, takes 1 gigawatt. And if we look at wind, it only gives us the capacity is 30 gigawatts. Bitcoin, when people are when people have no electricity, you think they're going to be like, hey, I keep mining Bitcoin. Are you crazy? When electricity is scarce, the first thing they do is, why are we paying for Bitcoin? But they pay the taxes. It doesn't matter. You think the population's like, well, they pay the taxes. If you're the same thing you could argue with golf courses in Arizona. Well, they pay the taxes for the water. When people are without, you think they're going to be, oh, okay, in that case, it's okay that I don't have any water. Oh, okay, as long as you're paying the taxes and you're paying the demand, you're paying a premium for your electricity use, it's okay that I don't have any electricity in Texas and on my wind, on my air conditioning unit in Houston or my freaking heat pump in the wintertime. It's crazy. Wake up. Get out. Look, I'm not telling you what to do. I just, if you're in Bitcoin, I think you're making it. I just crazy. If you think that this isn't gonna come bad on you, I don't know what to tell you, man. You think people are gonna sit idly by without electricity while Bitcoin, a data miner, blockchain people are freaking mining 1 gigawatt, and you extrapolate that over freaking 20, that's 1 gigawatt hour, which is 1,000 megawatt hours, which is 1,000 times whatever kilowatt. I can't even do the math in my head. 1,000 times 1,000 is whatever that is, or kilowatt hours. Ooh. Okay, we'll see you.